Story 1. Depending on the organization's maturity, I would tie it to their job description or a company goal. I would also frame it as a question that provides them autonomy and accountability, but also support. For example, do you think you have all you need to figure this out? Then, I would set a deadline with a check-in at the halfway point. Story 2. Check the literature. Biotechnology basically translates to, I do not know, and now it is your job to figure it out. Story 3. My supervisor, who is usually very generous with her time, will say, I am going to refer you back to regulations. Story 4. I have complete confidence in your ability to handle this. Story 5. I was a foreman for a while. If you cannot figure this out, I do not know how to help you. This may not be the right place for you, bud. Story 6. I think this will be a great test of your personal troubleshooting skills. Story 7. Unfortunately, I am up against a deadline this week. I will continue working until I find a solution. Story 8. I am sorry, Dave. I am afraid I cannot do that. In Hal voice. Story 9. If you are setting a meeting before the next meeting, take a look at this and see if you can provide us with some options. Story 10. To a superior or subordinate. Do you care about keeping your job? Very important questions for a tailored answer. Story 11. My time is currently limited in this role. Please provide an update when an acceptable result is achieved. Story 12. I understand your problem. How would you solve this? Story 13. I will note that as a task for you to complete. Story 14. You may want to think about that first. The word ponder is enjoyable. It is not often used these days, is not offensive, and makes people reflect. Story 15. You will need to research possible solutions. Have some options to present by the end of the day. Story 16. What is the professional way to say, please provide some context? Story 17. I just tell people to try and get back to me if they get stuck. Story 18. I usually say, have a crack at it. And if you need more help, just flag me down. I love teaching people, so I am usually the go-to person when it comes to having a shadow or needing a sitter. Story 19. As a longtime executive in technology on multiple occasions in staff meetings, I would exasperatedly say, if only there was a highly paid group of executives assembled to solve these problems, while looking them all in the eye, subtle as a German funk band. Story 20. At the manager level, I use, your team is best positioned to solve the problem. Given current resource allocation, we will look to your team for best practices. Story 21. Let's work towards a solution together. Story 22. I would like to see what solutions you come up with when you take the time to explore, but feel free to reach out if you encounter a dead end. Story 23. Did my manager write this? Normally, she just asks me what I think I should do. After a few exchanges, I explain that I do not want to make the wrong call and upset her. If I knew the right answer, I would not be asking. I just have to take a guess and hope I make the correct decision. Story 24. I hesitate to advise on the situation, and it is best to exercise your own judgment moving forward. Story 25. I would like you to take ownership of this task. Please come back to me with 3 suggestions on how to approach it, highlighting which method you recommend and why. Then we can decide on the best way forward. Story 26. Please reread the policy and procedure document before you proceed. Story 27. I implore you to champion this task with all your available resources. Story 28. Maybe you just need to figure it out yourself. Story 29. I am going to let you take the lead on this one. Story 30. Looking forward to hearing your suggestions on Wednesday. Story 31. Do not come to me with problems. Come to me with solutions. Story 32. I like construction because I do not need to find a professional way to say that. I can just say, dude, figure it out. Story 33. Some phrases I use. What did your supervisor or the person who should have the answer say when you called? My best guess is X. But that is a clinical decision, so I will leave it up to you. I last sent the link or attached documents on X date, but I have included them again for convenience. Story 34. Once you have had time to process, I am sure it will become clearer. Story 35. I once said, "Is your Google finger broken?" to a colleague who was basically asking me to do his job for him. He complained to my boss, a vice president, and his response was, "Well, is it? Thanks for having my back, Phil." Story 36. I have confidence in your ability to resolve this issue. Story 37. Your role in this situation is to accurately determine an effective plan for resolving it. Story 38. Have another think about it and let me know what you come up with. Story 39. That sounds like a means and methods question, so I will not try to prescribe anything specific. Let me know what you propose and I can review it then. Great. Story 40. The classic. We leave this proof as an exercise to the reader. Story 41. This is the sort of activity that is central to your role, and the expectation is that you manage it. Story 42. I am project managing a major build for my workplace. Although it is not part of my job description, that is a separate issue. The millwork specialist is unable to figure out how to create a surgical pass-through cabinet because he typically works on kitchens, not surgical suites. I had to remove myself from that discussion because I was tempted to say, "Figure it out." I tried many professional ways to express this, but they were unsuccessful. I made the architect handle the situation. Story 43. Please make full use of your valuable neurons and try to find a solution as politely and satisfactorily as possible. I am sure your brain will be grateful when you use it properly. Story 44. I know you need space to put your personal touch on it, or do what my supervisors did. Just ignore all of my requests for help and hope it gets better with the next version. Story 45. I could give you a clue, but would you rather phone a friend? Story 46. As I said to my bookkeeper once, you are an accountant. Account. Story 47. Do some independent research and get back to me when you have a solution. Story 48. I look forward to your expertise on a solution for this. Story 49. I have every confidence that, with all of your experience and training, you can handle this. Story 50. I am convinced you are capable of solving this on your own. Story 51. Try to work out a method. You will learn more that way and may even find a better method than we currently use. Story 52. I trust that you will be able to find a solution to this issue before our next meeting. Story 53. Let us research this separately and see what we discover. Story 54. Figure it out, milady. I'm in construction, so figure it out is probably the least offensive version you'd get. Story 55. I will leave that situation with you to handle because I believe you are more capable than I am in this matter. Story 56. I like to say, I believe in you or I have faith in you. Story 57. Please let me know if you need any further information to reach a resolution. Story 58. I have every confidence in your ability to resolve the matter quickly. Story 59. Why don't you take some time for discovery and block out some time on my schedule? Story 60. I believe you have the information and knowledge to accomplish the task. Story 61. Try to take some risks. I promise you it will be worth it. Story 62. I also go with, did you read the documentation I provided? Story 63. As per my last request, I implore you to find a solution to the problem. Story 64. My professor in college always says to us, go to Google, whenever we ask him a question about programming. Story 65. Engage this opportunity to demonstrate your ability to be solution-oriented. Story 66. I tell them where to look things up in the instruction manual or watch the tutorial videos. If they cannot figure it out, the lead or supervisor can teach them. Story 67. I am delegating that to you because you had some interesting ideas previously. Let me know what you come up with. Story 68. I am not familiar with the topic and do not have the capacity to support. I will wait to hear from you regarding the next steps. Story 69. In the United States Navy, you will often hear the phrase message to Garcia, especially among those who attended the United States Naval Academy. It refers to the 1899 essay of the same name, in which the author discusses the benefits of taking initiative and completing tasks without needing excessive instructions. Story 70. Close your door, sign off your message, or stop responding. Story 71. I am sure a person of your caliber will be able to work the rest out for themselves. Story 72. I trust that you are fully capable of reaching a satisfactory conclusion regarding this matter. One love. Story 73. Have you read the troubleshooting guide in the manual? I've heard the phrase, read the manual. Not only is that good advice for fixing things, it is great to prevent things from getting broken in the first place. Story 74. I trust your expertise on the matter will bring this project to a swift and successful conclusion. Story 75. In my industry, have you explored the contract documents and drawings? If you had no point of contact for assistance, how would you proceed? Story 76. This is what my friend and I say to people who want us to look at their car and perform a diagnosis for free. It could be anything. We obviously point them in the right direction, but I don't have all day to diagnose your vehicle. Story 77. Figure it out. There is minimal professionalism nowadays. Story 78. The user manual explains all the information you are looking for. Story 79. University engineering example. We have decided to let the students solve this problem on their own to prepare them for a realistic workplace environment. Story 80. A personal favorite from a few years ago. If that pipe is not in the rack by the end of the day, I am going to fire you and everyone you look at during the day. Story 81. Once I saw a quote from a scholar in his yearbook album that said, acquire currency, disregard females. What he was saying for our less urban folks is, money over women. Story 82. Scream any goddamn day at the top of your lungs. That's what I was taught in boot camp. That and some push-ups usually worked on us. Story 83. Deal with your problems yourself like an adult. Ron Swanson. Story 84. This is a tough one, but that is why we are glad to have you looking into it. Let me know when you have resolved it. Give them the old confidence booster while subtly letting them know everyone will be disappointed if they fail. I once had a regional director who could place someone on a performance improvement plan and have them thinking they were our best employee. He had decent success doing this. Most people receive very little encouragement from superiors and are eager for it. Story 85. Let me know if you have any questions. I am leaving now but can respond tomorrow. Story 86. I believe this is an opportunity for you to further hone your growing skill set. Can you explain that and let me know what you find out? Story 87. When the other party has a contractual obligation they do not want to fulfill, they start asking how they should do a task so they can either claim it is impossible or later charge more for it as if it were a command outside the initial contract. The methods belong to you, as long as the goal is achieved through a method that respects your contractual obligations. Story 88. Utilize your resources and I am confident you will succeed. Story 89. Are you sure you do not want to think about that a little bit more? Do not think you have quite got the answer. Story 90. That is a solid challenge. Think big and be creative. Come back to me with your best ideas to resolve this and we will discuss further. Story 91. They can choose to read it as up yours, but even that I leave up to them. Story 92. Given your vast experience and familiarity with the process, I trust that you will have no trouble completing this project. However, if complications do arise, please seek assistance. Story 93. Have you thought about possible solutions? Bring me one or two and we will work on them together. Otherwise, they will not bother and will just shrug their shoulders at everything. Story 94. If this is a situation where the person can search online and get the solution, I would say, I think this is a good learning opportunity. Try using available resources and let me know how it goes. If it is a case where someone made a mistake and now everything is a mess, I would say, this is a good learning opportunity. You will be able to avoid this mistake next time by learning to fix it yourself today. I did this when a student scrambled some footage folders, and luckily resetting one file path fixed them all. If it is a situation where someone says, this is your job, not mine, I have actually never been in that situation. I have only had one leadership role, but I worked with people who took training and direction well and were very competent. The rest of the answers here have been very enlightening. Story 95. I cannot advise you on that. Please do it to the best of your ability. Story 96. The fact that I think that is a professional way of saying it lets me know I worked at some unpleasant jobs. Story 97. I tell my students, I need you to use the resources at your disposal to solve your problems. Story 98. FITFO. If they do not know what that means, tell them to search for it online and follow up with any questions. Story 99. I would say you can figure it out. Implementation does not matter. Story 100. What have you done so far? No matter what they respond with, just say, that's all. Then continue with what you were doing. Story 101. I have noticed that waiting 15 minutes to respond to someone's question often leads to them figuring it out on their own. Story 102. Please kindly check the specifications for this project. I am an engineer. Story 103. In the engineering and construction industry, it is called means and methods. Contractor. How am I supposed to install this? Engineer. According to the manufacturer's installation instructions. Contractor. But I do not understand it. Engineer. That is means and methods and not within an engineer's scope of work. Story 104. Read the manual. Usually expressed succinctly as an acronym. Story 105. This does not fall within the scope of my responsibilities, but I am happy to help where it makes sense. Story 106. Take a good long look at it, implement your solutions, and I will check on you in a reasonable time interval. Story 107. I tell my team that I expect when they present a problem, they also present all the steps they have already taken to try to solve it. Story 108. It seems the responsibility is now on you to advocate for your own diagnostic process. I am a physical therapist speaking to patients who complain about not having magnetic resonance imaging authorized by insurance because they attended one visit of physical therapy and then stopped showing up for all scheduled visits and did not return phone calls. I understand insurance can be frustrating in 2024, but do not blame me when you are the one who disrupted my schedule. Story 109. That would be great. If you could make this idea come true right now. Story 110. Please refer to the previous email where we discussed this issue. Story 111. Do not be afraid to say it. It may be offensive, but that is how things get done. Use climate change as a reason. The more time wasted being hesitant, the more energy is consumed overall. Story 112. I feel this falls within the scope and responsibilities of your role, but if you need any help, I am happy to assist. Story 113. I had a bookkeeper who struggled to think outside her comfort zone. She was filling in for another person while doing her own job. She encountered a situation where she needed to do some math she had never done before. I had a whiteboard in my office and wrote the numbers on it, then asked her to help me solve the problem. We solved one together, then another, and finally she did it on her own. She copied it down, never asked about it again, and it greatly increased her self-confidence. Story 114. You are very clever, and I trust you to solve this on your own terms. Story 115. I am giving you the authority to make the decision. If it is a work friend you want to give a hard time to, you can use Let Me Google that. Story 116. This seems to be a great opportunity to expand your skill set. Story 117. You are a competent professional, and I trust your skills and experience will guide you through this. Story 118. You ask good questions. I look forward to hearing your suggestions. Story 119. This does not fall within my scope of responsibility. I encourage you to analyze the situation independently and develop a solution. Story 120. I feel like it is an iterative process somewhere in it. Story 121. Unfortunately, I cannot assist you with that. It is best if you attempt to find a solution on your own. Story 122. I have confidence in your ability to complete this task. Story 123. This is an opportunity for you to solve a difficult situation. I will leave this project in your very capable hands. Story 124. We need solutions, not problems. or find the solution. Story 125. As a blue-collar worker, a simple "you got it, buddy" will usually suffice. Story 126. Do not say, "Read the manual." I had Clark Cruz from Weatherford fired for that. Story 127. Take some time to reflect on the points in our recent discussion. Story 128. I am confident you can draw on your experience to resolve this issue. Story 129. Depending on the situation, sometimes people need to be told to figure it out in those words. Story 130. I encourage you to find resources to assist with your problem-solving skills. Story 131. Please use the resources provided to you. If you find any gaps in the tools available, please let me know about your specific concerns. Story 132. You got this. It is a little hard, but it is nothing compared to you. Story 133. Time for you to stand on your own 2 feet. When you and other people explain something multiple times and they do not learn anything, go in there and carefully review your memories. Figure it out. Story 134. I am going to assign an action item to you so you can research that. Let me know if I can help remove any roadblocks. Story 135. I actually use Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer for tasks like this. It is always reliable for professional interactions. Story 136. Read the manual. Or you have chosen a wonderful opportunity for challenging yourself. Problem equals opportunity. Story 137. Is that really a problem you need me to help you solve? I thought it would be well within your ability. That person then has the opportunity to say something like, "Oh no, I can think of a number of solutions. I just wondered if you had a preferred method." Or he could simply admit that he is not capable of doing his job, and you can proceed accordingly. Story 138. A complete review of the documentation for the process should allow you to complete the tasks properly. Story 139. Not exactly professional, but it does get laughs at the workplace. Say, "Why don't you figure it out?" Make sure to mumble "figure" so it sounds halfway between figure and finger. Story 140. I know you have the skills to resolve this issue independently. Story 141. You have the resources and information available to determine the best path forward. Story 142. Please ask again when you post it on Reddit and receive 1,000 upvotes. Story 143. Once I asked my supervisor how to do something. He handed me a manual without saying anything and walked away. Story 144. I trust your decision-making process. Let me know when it is complete. Story 145. I trust your decision-making process. Let me know when it is complete. Story 146. At my job, it is, if you read the standard operating procedure. 9 out of 10 questions or issues that arise can be answered by simply reading the documentation they are supposed to be reading already. Story 147. My boss has told me to please refer to the standards and practices for guidance. This is amusing because I asked him where those were, and he has not emailed me back. Story 148. How would you do it? Let me hear how you will begin to solve it. Story 149. In the old Usenet days, we had the abbreviation RTFM, which stands for Read the Manual. Story 150. I appreciate you reaching out to me with this matter. Unfortunately, I am overwhelmed and do not have the capacity to deal with this currently. I have the utmost faith that you have this completely under control. Story 151. I have full confidence in you to complete the task by specified day, specified time. Please email me if you need any support to accomplish this. Story 152. Please refer to the standard operating procedure protocols outlined in the handbook. Story 153. All right, it looks like you have everything you need to get started. Story 154. Is this a boss speaking to an employee or colleagues? Story 155. While I would like to revisit this another time, I have full confidence in your team to resolve the issue. Story 156. Assuming you are not expected to know which office or qualification they are from, but you can find out, write to them, get in contact with their own office or qualification. They should be more than able to help you with that. Story 157. Think about what you would do if I were not here to help you with this. Then go do that. Story 158. See what you can find and let's take a look at it tomorrow or next week. Story 159. I run an information technology department, and I tell people to figure it out. I always close with good luck. Story 160. I apologize, this is not something I can assist you with. Story 161. I have confidence in your ability to determine the correct course of action and develop a creative solution for this issue. Story 162. I am not able to assist. However, I am confident in your ability to find a solution. Story 163. My boss, after asking me to do something he knows is not easy, says, easy peasy, right? Story 164. My calendar is up to date. If you need us to work on it together, please find a couple of open 1 or 2 hour slots. To be realistic, it may require you to do significant pre-work before any open slots are available. So I would plan on engaging the vendor or finding some additional research options. Please be sure to carefully document your progress so that we can all have something to learn from afterward. Thank you. Story 165. In my industry, it is important to clearly describe the problem and end the email with please advise. Story 166. I need you to take point on this and proceed. We need a resolution by the specified date. Story 167. This is a challenge for which I need you to find a good solution. Story 168. Please set up a time when you are ready to review your findings. Story 169. What steps have you attempted so that we do not duplicate effort? Story 170. Your abilities speak for themselves, and I have full confidence that you will overcome any gaps in those abilities. Story 171. I will often say, tongue-in-cheek mostly, the solution is left as an exercise for the student. Story 172. Please use this opportunity to further develop your skills and understanding of the matter at hand. Story 173. If you are unclear on the procedure, I would be happy to send you the quick reference guide. Story 174. I have every confidence that you will reach a conclusion on your own. Story 175. I think this would be better coming from the person I am speaking to. Or, if it is the same person, I think this would be better coming from someone more involved with the situation. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.